Hola guys, it's Tarot by Tess. This is the Cancer reading for 18. Let's go ahead and get started. I gave you a Lenormand spread to begin with. I guess technically it's 5 cards. 4 cards laid out with clouds, and then followed by bear, birch rod and or whip, and tower. Okay. The bottom of the deck we have a gentleman, most likely a fellow water sign with the heart here. Okay, but it can be anybody. All right, so the bottom of the deck touches every card, and it gives you an overall theme, and it puts all the cards into perspective. It gives you an idea or a story. So with the gentleman and the clouds here, what we have is a male who deep down is insecure and not even be aware of it. Okay. But they do realize that they feel a little desperate, and I don't mean this in a romantic sense. They feel lost, and they're hiding something, and it's their insecurity that they're hiding. They put up a facade. This could be you. This could be somebody you're dealing with. Could be for cross watchers. Okay, either way, you're dealing with a Cancer. So, They kind of need help a little bit. They need some guidance. And they're coming off as aloof and uninterested. But again, this is a front. They're really insecure. But that's not their only front. That's just one of them. They have me, apparently. Okay, going with man and bear, what we have is the guy. Okay. So this is the guy that can carry the 10 wands. This is a big guy, physical, possibly hairy, possibly with dark hair, since these both have dark hair. This is, he's in charge. He's like the boss. He can actually be a boss. He's very strong, dominant, and to put this in a nice way, but I'm not trying to emasculate this person or diminish their masculinity in any way. Fussy. That's the only word I can think of. They're a bit fussy. I'm not really sure how else you would say that. They can get easily upset. They're also very possessive. Maybe dealing with a Scorpio. Or even another Cancer. But this person's very competent. They know exactly what they're doing. Even if they're maybe not completely aware that this is what they're doing because of their insecurity. But just in general, they're a competent person. In fact, they're probably a little wealthy, or they know how to get money. This person is also let's say protecting. They're a protector. And I think they identify themselves in this way. But they're very lost in that they have failed at this duty at some point, because that's part of their character, and they weren't able to perform that at some point. But this guy is, he has to be the guy. He has to be like the head alpha, and part of that job is to protect, right? But they're also, territorial and dominant, and yeah. So at some point, somebody probably protected this male from something. And I feel like at some point you felt like you also, or somebody had to protect themselves against this male. And that is how they failed in their, I guess, kind of like a fatherly duty or protector in some way. They failed in that endeavor. Maybe they failed many times, but I know it's at least once. Okay. And they're feeling, well, we have Birchrod here. Birchrod has a lot of suffering and pain. It's shame. They're feeling ashamed and guilty. You think of I can't remember what it's called now, but where they lacerate their own backs. It's a little bit of what I see here. But they kind of make up for it by insulting people. Or saying abusive things. He also insults himself, abuse himself, because I have beats himself up. That he's at some point been seen as an abuser or an aggressor. I mean, and granted, a bear is aggressive, but they're also protective. And so somebody's beating themselves up because they showed the wrong side of the bear. This person might be a police officer, a lawyer, or just like a really good detective, possibly an analyst of some sort. But this man is trying to make amends. Or at least they're thinking about it. Maybe he's trying to make amends by beating himself up, by being guilty. This person's overwhelmingly ashamed. With the Tower here at the end, what we have is, again, like somebody high up, so a boss. And if they're not your boss, they could be a boss. Either way, this person has power over you. Or if this is you, you have power over a particular person. Whomever you're thinking about, that's who this is. Okay? But they're also a little bit in denial about the situation. They know it, but they don't want to face it. And so there's this front. They're hiding their insecurity and their shame through overt masculinity. And we'll get into a little bit more of that later. But they're very lonely and they're emotionally distant, possibly from most everybody or the person in particular whom they failed to protect. They're too proud. They want to make amends, but they're too proud. They come off as arrogant and controlling. Very in power. And this person, they will stand out as like the alpha male. I know that's so patriarchal or something, I don't know, but this person has power over you. Okay? But they come off as arrogant, okay? But that's their front. They not even realize it, or they might, and they think, well, this is better than, what I really am or something. Or I kind of see in their life, this person has kind of had it like ground into them, or maybe even physically abused, but they've had it in them that they had to be like tough guy. And that's actually like part of what's wrong with society in general, but that's what they've been through it. They're dealing with it. And if they're actually a water sign, that's got to be extremely tough. Okay, so we know we're dealing with a man of some sort. Could be you, could be somebody you're dealing with. All right, so with Clouds and Tower, what we have is this person needs distance, whether it's emotional or otherwise. They need distance. Six of Swords, they have to get away to get some clarity. Also, this might involve you as well. You might need some distance from this person to get clarity. But this person's extremely lonely, especially on the emotional level. Their arrogance is actually misunderstood. I hate to say that because when somebody comes off so arrogant, all you want to do is like punch them in the face. I know, but it's actually misunderstood, okay? They come across this way, and I think it's obvious to a lot of people, but they not know this. Because what I get is those guys that drive the really souped up heightened trucks, and it's completely over the top. The car is like the size of a house, or the truck, I'm sorry. And you know they're compensating for something. Now, that in itself is just about, genitalia, okay? But as, what is it, an analogy or a comparison, a metaphor, whatever it might be, a figure of speech, something, we have somebody who's showing off as a way to mask something, especially something that they're insecure about. And their insecurity is that they're a little lost, they feel guilty, and they're also possibly dealing with some kind of abuse in their past. If not, then possibly that they were abusive to someone else, or just plain terrible. So we have misunderstood arrogance. I know we don't like to forgive those people, but here we go. All right, so with clouds and bear, what we have is being very practical about the situation. This person is having to do things in a practical way as a means to protect against this insecurity. So their practical way is to be arrogant and yeah, okay. That's their practical everyday way of being. It's also in order to prevent people from seeing confusion. They feel conflicted. And this confidence is hiding this insecurity. Okay, with bear and whip, this is the main meat of the reading because it's straight in the middle, okay? This is probably going to tell us what they're so conflicted about. We have a lot of physicality here. Very physical in nature. Also very sexual. But we have this person regrets something, and it has a major influence on their life. Or his life, I should say. They are overwhelmed, dominated by guilt about some kind of an abusive situation. I kind of see public embarrassment. And this is probably like the worst thing that could have happened, because that just made it worse, this insecurity. To be publicly embarrassed, oh no. And they're trying to protect themselves, but they were supposed to protect somebody. Okay, so what I'm seeing, this person, somebody came to this person, this man, as some kind of protection. And they feel as if they failed miserably, and they are racked with guilt. They were supposed to be the protector against violence, and they ended up being the violence. I'm guessing it has to do with sexuality, or just, physicality of some sort. And they're wanting to speak up, or you spoke up and they had like some kind of public shaming. And they have done some insulting or something as a means to kind of get out of this embarrassment. They feel conflicted. This is a very conflicted, very powerful man who is pretty much, they're fiercely loyal and utterly protective. And they are very upset that they failed to be protective. At some point, or maybe now, this person had a physical job, maybe like a bailiff or a jailer or a bouncer. That might give you another idea of who this person is. Oop, wrong direction. Okay, and then the last ones we have Whip and Tower. This person refused to listen to criticism because they had enough insecurity, they couldn't deal with it. But of course, they're not going to say anything because this is the man. He's not going to listen to any of that. But again, this person's not actually, it's, a facade. But they don't want to hear the criticism. The criticism makes it worse. And you or somebody's punishing somebody with being emotionally cold and distant. Emotionally cold and distant. That's how they're punishing someone, or you're punishing them. But I see them in their tower. I feel like they're, again, alone, isolated, and just beating themselves up. Because they abused their authority, is what I get. It may be an actual boss, it may be a father, just somebody who had power over you or who was stronger than you. Or, if you're the male, then you, them. But see, if you're the male, unless this was like a male-on-male scenario, you're probably the one that did this. But they try to control people with aggression. And that's, if they've come across as arrogant and aggressive, then people are a little afraid of them, and they're able to have control in that way. And that's why they stand out among the other guys. But they're also trying to control their own aggression because they realize that their self-control isn't fail-safe. Because they had an experience where they did not control their aggression. And they're trying to get a handle on it. But they are so ashamed that they've shut themselves up, essentially. But it's also working as a means to punish somebody as being in control because this person revealed it. That's what I get. Okay, I think we're gonna need this deck over here. That's a weird reading. Okay. Let's see what comes out this. I want to know what the bear and birch rod are here. Okay. Four of Pentacles, Hierophant, Eight of Cups, I'll just put these away because we've already talked about it. So the bear and birch rod, or whip, is here. This could have even been an actual religious figure, like a father, but just somebody who has power over you. Okay. Let's see, what's the bottom of the deck? Bottom of the deck is Knight of Swords. Okay. Now, these have a different meaning because it's the Cameron deck, which is a sexual deck. I'm going to go with what I'm seeing, and then I'll read the actual definitions. But with Four of Pentacles, what I get here is it was something sexual, okay? Because this just looks like typical sexuality. And that's what it was intended to be, okay? But what we have here is somebody who was supposed to be protective, maybe, put their hand on your head, something like that. But what it ended up being was something a little bit more aggressive, okay? So let's see what we have here. And the Knight of Swords just lets me think that this was very impulsive, very aggressive, but it was like passionate. Okay, so let's see here. Why is the Four of Pentacles? Okay, yeah. This person was very greedy and very selfish. They were thinking about themselves. And that could be a little bit of their guilt. but it was an intense and lustful interaction. And I kind of get the feeling with the Four of Pentacles here, again, there's more possessiveness and secrecy that goes along if you think about the regular tarot. And I feel like they're holding on to it. Almost in like a, not a nostalgic way. I don't mean it like that. Just like they think about it. I don't know if it's like replay or what, but they think about it. Okay. Let's see, the Hierophant. Okay, this person is very charismatic. It says, nevertheless, sacredness is not always exempt from sin. So it was supposed to be something a little bit innocent, or at least that was somebody's intention. Somebody else had a little different intention, but it was supposed to be that way, but it wasn't exempt from sin, which I'm seeing is somebody made a mistake. And they should have acted more cautiously. Of course, the Knight of Swords here, they definitely did not. They should have been more prudent about the situation. But this says sometimes power corrupts. So this person had, like they felt the power. That's pretty much what I get. To feel powerful is something that made them feel better to have that power. But they kind of had to take it at a price, is what I see. So, I mean, honestly, this reminds me of a power reassurance rapist, is what I get. That's what this person is. Or at least that's just like that's something I get here. I'm not sure why. But then there's like no compromise between something sacred and something profane, is what this says. And I get this idea from Romeo and Juliet. So, you know, Romeo is saying something like, if I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, you know, the gentle sin is this. So Juliet's like the shrine, the sacred, and he's saying, you know, he's going to like basically sin against her hand or whatever, her, I don't know, sacredness is what I get. And she even actually says in the rest of it, like, you do wrong your hand too much. So I kind of get that here. So this must be involving a romance of some sort. All right, and then with the Eight of Cups, let's see what we have here. Yeah, deceit is what this is. It also talks about threats. Somebody felt threatened, or somebody did threaten somebody. And then again, we have this idea of shame. So somebody could have felt ashamed afterward. It could be both people felt ashamed. But this completely changed the dynamic between these people. I'm also seeing there was a change of a plan. So somebody was coming in one way, power corrupted, and then we had to change a plan. And it was something that has brought shame to this person ever since. So I guess they are feeling guilty. All right, with the Knight of Swords here. Oh, let's see what we got. This goes very well with that last reading, so it's amazing how these cards work sometimes. Okay, so with the Knight of Swords, what we have is somebody has a craving to confront conflict. Love, however, opposes violence. So this person might crave danger. Oh yeah, that is the Knight of Swords. I always think of that. They crave danger. Okay. It says even sex has its pride. I mean, I know what that means, but I can't really explain it. So something having to do with sex and pride. So this person feels ashamed about something dealing with sex. And most likely power. So again, I have like this power reassurance rapist idea. It says, decide which battle must be fought. A craving to confront conflict. So somebody really wants to like take this on. One person want this to argue. Somebody want to argue. And then, but it says, love covers violence. I think that's what it said. Let me go back and look real quick. Love opposes violence. So somebody come with a violent agenda or a violent manner, like aggressive, and the other person shows love. So I do get this idea of love covering a multitude of sins, and this be a segue into making amends. Did that rhyme? I'm pretty sure that rhymed. I wasn't meaning to do that. Okay. All right. So somebody's going to try to confront this, and I'm seeing to respond in a good way. And actually, let me see. That makes a lot of sense with that last part. Okay. If you don't look at her raising her skirt, okay, just don't pay attention to that for the time being, okay? Because that is not love, okay? What I see here is kind of like the, was it the guy at Hannon Square or something like that? The guy who stood in front of the tanks. It's kind of what I see here. Like somebody has come with a sword. This dude, I guess, is it him? Yeah, he's holding it. He's coming with a sword, and he's smiling. And she's supposed to be there with love. Okay, now, yeah, that's what I get. Okay. All right. Now let's get to another reading. Okay. Oop, just knocking stuff everywhere. All right, Cancers. Here's your spread for 18. Let's see what's coming towards you. Strength. All right. Can you guys even see that? Oh, goodness, it's so bright. Okay. Better go do that. It must be light. If I turn it off, I can't see. So we have strength. Could be dealing with a Leo. Again, this could be about passion. I think you're having a lot of joy to begin some kind of a new project or a new love situation. You seem very excited, but also humble. And then again, I have this idea of lust and control. Ten of Swords. Wasn't expecting that. Okay. Come back to it. I kind of have like new hope after loss, and we have new love. So maybe like after a loss of power. Oh yeah, definitely something new coming in. Wow. All your cards are upright. Ace of Pentacles. Definitely a new offer that comes in that is fucking fantastic. It's the beginning of a new relationship or a new start. And this is somebody you would know from work, school, or a financial endeavor, possibly even a creative project. And I have like mutual attraction causes creativity. So maybe there's like some kind of a muse or something like that if you're in the creative areas. But it's a very exciting phase that you're starting. And it's true love. It's real love. It's here. It just happens to have a whole lot of passion. And actually, what I get with the Ten of Swords here is overkill. It's like wild passion overkill. In fact, so much it could feel like a betrayal or a stabbing. But we have a new opportunity coming up. There is new hope after loss. And then we have the Temperance card. This is fireworks for sure, with all these other cards in here. It's also making things work, kind of experimenting with which approach is going to work. Feeling like there's this getting everything together, kind of making things get together. And if you have a conflict with somebody, because that came out in the last reading, right? I'm sure there's going to be some kind of conflict over this Ten of Swords, whatever this is. This is saying that you have to express it clearly. And yeah, you have to argue, is what I get. Maybe a little fiercely. But it's going to bring about this new beginning. So there's fireworks in more than one way here. There's probably a little bit of anger. But this argument is needed to kind of clear everything. And somebody who was stubborn will now become tolerant. Maybe as a result of this argument. But you have to try several approaches before this is actually going to be successful. And you're going to have to find some kind of common ground. I get like Two of Cups energy here. Like you both have to bring something to the table. And then there's going to be compromise needed. So I kind of feel like the Chariot's alluded to here just because of the topic. You're going to have to compromise, cooperate, have patience, and test the waters. There's a lot of forgiveness that's going to be needed here. Somebody's going to propose this offer. Okay, bottom of the deck, Queen of Pentacles. You could have Earth sign in your chart, or you could be seen as a great soul of some sort. This person, I feel like they could come to you as like some kind of a refuge. I think I'm feeling that right. This is somebody who is seen as very practical. You know, they're prosperous, they're ambitious, they have everything going for them. So in a way, they feel like you're an equal. And this is definitely a long-term relationship. But this person, I'm feeling this must be you, okay? Whomever is receiving this pentacle, which is this offer, okay, it's something you value. Because look at how she's actually treasuring it, okay? This is something that this person or you really, really wants. Doesn't have to be a woman, okay? Just has to be somebody who's getting the offer. She's going to seriously consider it because she assesses everything shrewdly. And what I see here is that this person is meant to put this person through a loyalty test because that's exactly what the Queen of Pentacles does. Because she's very practical even though she's down to earth. She's not careless by any means. She welcomes people in, especially if they're struggling, and she'll take care of them, but she's not going to just let anybody in. So she's going to really consider this offer. I kind of see her a little bit as the Page of Pentacles, only older, wiser, and more, I don't know, womanly, I guess is how I see her, just because she's here. She does seem very kind. All right, let's do a little clarification. Why is strength here for Cancer? Okay, Eight of Swords. Hopeless and helpless. Somebody feel like their feelings have overtaken them, or they're trapped by all these feelings and emotions. Maybe it's some kind of an obstacle for them to control these things. Somebody not be ready to have these feelings for somebody yet. Well, that's what somebody is thinking. And so they have all these wild, untamed emotions that they're trying to tame. And it looks like with this Eight of Swords, they might be trying to actually like tame it. But it feels like a prison of some sort. I think I need another one. Let's get another. They're both eights, so I feel like somebody has to change their mind. They have to come out of a victim mentality, or this won't work. All right, Page of Wands in reverse. Any kind of miscommunication has to be dealt with. Any kind of miscommunication will make this unstable. And with Temperance in here, I'm seeing if somebody avoids just mindlessness, any kind of activity that doesn't really have a purpose, they gain like strength, youthfulness, vitality, they gain it. So they have to like trap themselves in some way. And they have a choice. They can take either direction, but either way it leads to the sun. So they're going to do fine. Okay, why is the Ten of Swords here? There's lots of sun in here. Sun-esque type of drawings. Ooh, Five of Cups. Definitely some kind of disappointment regarding love. Ouch. Okay. But it does say change your focus. It's like, stop looking at the Three of Cups that spilled. Okay? It's over, it's done with. Look at the Two of Cups behind you that you aren't even fucking looking at. That's what this is about. It's needing to have that hope after a loss, especially after any kind of a betrayal. This could even be the end of some kind of a delusion. Once somebody changes their focus, they see things differently. And it's like getting over a disappointing ending, getting over a depression, getting over a breakup, getting over failed plans. Because there is hope, you just have to actually find it. Okay, why is the Ace of Pentacles here? What is this offer? I think it's an offer to try to make something work. Ooh, another ace. Ace of Swords. Yes. Tons of mutual attraction here. Oh my goodness. Both of these are just, they just reek of passion. I guess it's not a nice way to say it, but. Now, going back to this controlling, possessive kind of a character, this person is definitely still that way. Okay, I don't think that's going to change. If you notice, look, he has his hand out. Okay, so I feel like one person is offering something valuable to be looked at, and the other person has to offer them freedom. But either way, they're going to be transformed by this, and it's going to be very prosperous for both parties involved. I see like happiness, ecstasy, just utterly content. But somebody has to actually kind of release some heartfelt thoughts. But again, going back to this character, there will be one person in the relationship, most likely the male because of our first reading, that will be controlling and blunt and selfish, and the other person will really have to struggle to deal with that. Because again, that person's kind of fussy, and so they're going to have to really try to make this work. Oh goodness. They're probably going to be like, oh, like they're just going to have to try to work it out, is what I get. Because this person's not changing. And they like to debate. I think like both parties like to debate. Somebody wants to be right. Now I'm going to tell you this bear person who was in that first reading, they're going to want to be right. But both parties are going to enjoy a debate. But either way, it's a win-win situation. Very good news is coming regarding this. I see these people are going to master their thoughts and money. It's going to take a little bit of willpower, a little bit of effort and concentration, but it's going to happen. Just be wary of being forceful. Okay, and then we have Temperance. Could be dealing with the Sagittarius. Okay, and then we have the Strength card again. Yay. Could still be dealing with a Leo, or maybe you have Leo or Sagittarius in your chart somewhere. Or the person you're dealing with does. Or if you're a cross-watcher, whatever. I can't show both of these at the same time if I get nervous. Okay. So what we really have is a lot of strength, a lot of passion, a lot of lust. Man, it's like all over this reading. Cancers, who are you dealing with? Because I need to meet this person. Maybe we can have like a show together or something. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so with the Ace of Swords over here and the Strength card, this person is very opinionated, strongly opinionated. And you guys are going to have to compromise on pretty much everything. And I know that sounds terrible, but there's something here between you guys. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's passion. I think you might have to ask yourself if that's something that is making it for everything else that you have to deal with. But, I mean, it does talk about utter contentedness. So this would be like, I don't know, I kind of get an old couple where the man is always cranky. That's kind of what I get here. And you're just kind of like, oh, Fred, or whatever. Shut up. I'm so sorry. I don't know where I come up with this stuff, guys. Okay. But anyway, lots of lust, lots of fireworks. Yay. Okay. And this is coming because Jupiter is, well, Jupiter is in Scorpio. But this has to do with Jupiter. You know, we don't have very major arcanas. But what is here is very obvious, and that's somebody needs to speak the truth. Doesn't matter if it's opinion or not, they just have to say it. Okay. On the bottom of the deck, ooh, Devil in reverse. So there is a lot of passion here, but it's not going to be confining. This person's going to master their emotions and their baser instincts, is what I have here. I do have a little bit of abuse, okay, so just be a little careful, because we have adventure crossing into danger when this is in reverse. So yes, be adventurous, try whatever kind of approaches you want, but you have to draw a line somewhere. They have things called safe words, guys, okay? This is also kind of, well, it talks about being led by the nose. So somebody's definitely having power over somebody. And with the Eight of Swords in here, most definitely a BDSM relationship. Just so you know. This could have been how this whole first reading got started, is what I get. So somebody may be like a daddy dom character, but they failed to be the daddy at some point and ended up just being like a sadist or something. I don't know. That could be what's here. I'm so sorry, but anytime you have the Devil and Eight of Swords, it's BDSM. Okay. And then we have all this passion and shit. So this person ended up being like a power reassurance rapist instead of daddy dom, is what I have. Okay. I guess that makes a little bit more sense. This person could have been arrested at some point, if you just need more information to help you know. This person with the Ace of Pentacles feels like a fraud, or maybe they went to jail or prison for forgery. Now, it's not going to be everybody, obviously. I'm just giving you more things that can help you identify this person in case you're still unsure. And if none of this has any kind of resonance, then it is not meant for you, okay, hon? Because you should definitely know if this is for you. I'm sorry, it's just a little specific. I get moderation. Somebody's going to have to abstain from kind of like pushing something too far. Could be dealing with a Capricorn, or you could have Capricorn in your chart. Yeah, somebody have a tendency towards more taboo type of things, and they have to really respect people's limits. But the good news is this Eight of Swords turns around for the person who was kind of in a prison, and for the person who's trying to tame all their lusts and emotions, they get that as well. Okay, definitely taming the wild beast within is what I get. Okay, let's see if we can get another reading, because these kind of are running together, and I want to try to get different things if at all possible. Impossible. Okay. You know what we should do? We should do this deck and the sexy deck. Let's do a sexy reading. Hopefully it's actually sexy and not something creepy. I mean, this deck is a little creepy, I'm just gonna say. Some of the pictures, not all of them, but some of them. It's very, well, patriarchal. I didn't know that when I got it, but there's other decks that are more inclusive. And not necessarily just with gender, but not so sexist, I guess. Okay, let's see. Cancers deserve something sexy, so let's do something sexy. hopefully. Fingers crossed. All right. Maybe I can clarify it with the regular Rider-Waite Tarot. Ooh, okay. Got the Moon card. Could be dealing with a Pisces. Of course, Cancer is ruled by the Moon. It looks like, she's trying to kick somebody out in a hurry. Yeah. Then we have, I believe it's Page of Pentacles. Okay. Nine of Swords. Now don't take on the typical meanings, okay? And, ooh. Oh, Ace of Swords. Okay, we have it again. Ace of Swords. That doesn't look too hot. Okay. All right. So, and then we have Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands. All right, so let's see what we have here. Cancers. Okay, so the Moon is our major arcana. So I feel like there is some kind of deception just in general. Okay, so this could be energy that comes around with the full moon as well. Unexpected ruined plans. Okay, so perhaps if you were undertaking some kind of endeavor, it was done superficially or without consideration. Or somebody was making this plan without considering something. And so it risks being blown way out of proportion than it was. This could be, again, talking about whatever happened. Something did not go according to plan. Because remember, we had change of plan in that first reading. With this same deck, there was a change of plan, and so something got blown way out of proportion because it wasn't going according to how somebody thought it would go. Changes of plans are never good, okay? At least not when it comes to something sexual. All right, Knave of Pentacles, which is Page. Okay. Okay. So we have distrust of those who appear with deceiving attire. Okay, so somebody had been wearing something that somebody thought was deceiving. And they didn't really trust them. I'm not sure what that means, but and then behaving with false modesty. Somebody thought somebody had false modesty. They're like, well, you're wearing this, so you're not really modest, I'm guessing. It says honor is at risk. Okay. So, scarily enough, I have like, you were wearing a miniskirt, kind of, sexist, what do you call it? Oh, shit, what's it called? Rape culture. There we go. Okay. So we have the Nine of Swords. A sudden approach. So somebody has suddenly approached someone, or this could come to fruition. And this is definitely different from the Nine of Swords, okay, guys? It's somebody's hope that somebody will suddenly approach. And it's considered a wonderful dream. Or they actually have a wonderful dream. They have, like, I don't know, oral sex dreams or something. I don't know. But this may actually be like somebody's approaching. That's what they want. It's their dream. And then we have the Ace of Swords. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, so somebody made an immediate decision or will make an immediate decision regarding something that has to do with love. And there are some really deep, profound emotions. But it's going to take some kind of a risk. Or this is something that happened in the past. Somebody took a risk due to some profound emotions. Again, we have that immediate decision in love, and then we have like a sudden approach. So that'll be in the future. Then we have Queen of Wands. I'm wondering what that's about. Okay, so that each partner has his or her needs. Okay, and know how to choose and understand when and how to satisfy those needs. And we had that sudden approach. Somebody wants that to happen. It's a hope. They have love dies without initiative. Can you believe that would ever come from this particular picture? Just saying. So unless somebody takes the initiative, this love will actually die. You have to fulfill somebody's needs is what I get. It doesn't even have to be sexual, okay? That one didn't even seem to have any sexuality in it as far as wording. Definitely with the picture. All right. So not scare the sexy deck and do a regular deck. Okay. Cancers are getting extra stuff today. Oh, I have to go to bed. Okay. What messages are there for Cancers for the month of April 18? What do Cancerians need to know for the month of April 17? Alright. Devil reversed again. Okay. Ooh, Tower reversed. Somebody's avoiding dire consequences, most likely having to deal with sex. So avoiding dire consequences is good, but it usually has something to do with addiction or like a lot of desire. Ten of Swords again. There's definitely some kind of a ending. Somebody's ending some kind of an addiction. Not necessarily substance abuse, but possibly sexual addiction or crossing boundaries, something that's overkill. Like maybe a little bit, not a lot. Really, guys, I'm trying to figure out what this is, okay? Sometimes I read things and it comes across to other people and I'm like, I have no idea what I said. So, Death card. So, Capricorn and Scorpio. But there's definitely an ending of some sort. And then again, you could be dealing with one of those signs. Or you could have them in your chart. But this death is kind of like a rebirth because it's always like the phoenix rising from the ashes. So something dies, something new is born. And this is going to be a very abrupt change. You're not going to cause it. It's going to be the person you're dealing with. They're going to cause this abrupt change. It doesn't have to be an end. It's just a change. And again, there's this hope of something new. Four of Cups in reverse. This is a Cancer card. It's saying that a missed opportunity is coming back. And it says, it could be because your depression is affecting your love life in some way. And so just kind of relax, seek some kind of an outlet to restore your self-esteem. And some of you are going to have to understand that this man is actually just not right for you. But the opportunity is coming back around. And maybe you have to break up with somebody to make room for new opportunities. And if you're a person who is seeking like pleasure only, that it's not satisfying you. In fact, you'd be bored with it. But I think somebody's finally seen an offer that's coming through, or somebody's finally willing to make some kind of an amends. Let's get one more card. Maybe. Somebody also realized they overreacted about something. So they're going to break this relationship cycle. Is actually, so it may not actually be a breakup. It may be breaking a cycle. Way too much going on here, but I do feel like you should be putting in work. So they actually commit to putting in work. We shall see. Or I guess you shall see. None of this ever applies to me. Okay, we have Page of Cups. So it could be an apology, most likely from another water sign. This could be you. But the cup that's being extended here, okay, that's going to be seen is from the Page of Cups. Okay. Then, I don't know if this was reversed or not. Let me put this back in. We'll see what else we get. But we do have the Page of Cups. That means somebody is ready to kiss and make up. And ready to express feelings. And very tender feelings. It's also a new beginning in love as well. And then again, we're having this end of relationship tantrums. And it's definitely so with the Page of Cups upright. Oh, we have your card, Cancers. So getting to move forward with emotional balance. Ooh, the Five of Cups again. You're moving forward from a disappointment. You're moving on from it, it really seems like. Again, those Three of Cups that were spilled, you're going to have to fucking stop focusing on them, okay? Or whomever you're dealing with will have to. This is also a sign of guilt, too. Somebody's going to have to let it go, because there's something right there. You just have to go after it. Cancer, you look like you're going to be doing fine. If you're dealing with a Capricorn, they may not be so hot. Scorpio be hot, or fine. Yeah, this all looks pretty good. I feel like you're going to have a new beginning. Bottom of the deck, Nine of Wands in reverse. So in the past, there's been some energy where you or the other person or both of you were wary of each other. And this person at some point wanted retribution. It was like long awaited. They really wanted to stick it to you. Maybe in all kinds of ways. But I'm seeing that they're going to give up that fight. They have, they resist this change with the Death card here. They resist giving up on that. But they are realizing that this situation has built character. And I think they're willing to forego any kind of retribution. They have actually matured in some way. And it's very confusing. They think, what? It's not traditional, it's not orthodox, this is weird. And they're kind of doubting themselves. They're like, nothing left to lose. They feel like they're being fucked with in the head. But what I'm seeing is this current path of retribution or revenge or whatever it might be, it can't be sustained because it looks as if that Knight of Swords card that was in the Decameron deck is actually working, like love opposing violence kind of a thing. There's still fears and doubts, those still remain, but overall this is working out. Okay. Let's get something from the Angel Answers deck. Okay. Perfect timing. That's what's involved here. So you gotta wait for the right time. Yeah. Wait for perfect timing. I mean, how awesome is that, right? And there will be a peaceful resolution. Okay. Angel Guidance cards. This is the newest deck. I like it. There's some different stuff in here. I feel like I need to shuffle again. Okay, what messages are there for Cancers? Oh, it's a long ass reading. Oh goodness. I didn't realize how long it was going. No wonder I need to go to bed. Well, fell on the fucking floor. Are you kidding me? Okay, giving and receiving. I'm actually have to get this because I have to read the little thing. Damn it. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Alright, let's see here. Hopefully you guys didn't see all mess on the floor and stuff. Alright, so giving and receiving. Kangaroo. What the fuck? Okay. The entire universe operates in cycles similar to your inhalations and exhalations. When you only exhale or only inhale, you become out of rhythm with the universe. So basically, don't hold your breath. For optimal health, energy, and replenishment, balance each inhalation in your life with an exhalation. So basically, give and receive. Yeah, okay. Let's see what else comes out. What the fuck is that kangaroo doing there? That's so weird. Be honest with yourself. Very reminiscent of the Two of Swords, isn't it? It talks about somebody refusing to say if they like or love someone. Okay. Look into your heart and you will know the truth of this situation. It's safe to admit the truth to yourself, or we will support and guide you through any necessary changes. Lean upon us for courage and the strength to take good care of yourself. Focus only upon your true desires, and they'll come to you upon angels' wings. All right, bottom of the deck. Family. Interesting. Okay, so we have this situation is rooted in an emotional experience with a family member. That's not for everybody, okay? Which we can help you to understand and heal. In your mind and heart, surround this person, yourself, and the experience with calming blue light and the angels. You guys, I'm not into all that hokey stuff. You do whatever you want. Be open to the gifts within the situation and allow yourself to feel peace. So basically, just like send this person good juju or whatever, okay? All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed your reading. You got a little off, but I mean, it was meant to come out because it resonated very well with the other cards that would come out. So good luck. Have a good roll.